So I wanted to know, like, what was like the most surprising aspect of your characters that you discovered, in your research? And also for the chairman, was there anything about their portrayals that stood out to you the most?
Yeah, for me with O'Neill, it was surprising to learn once I had all the literature that Shaka had provided and had all the transcripts from his court cases after having had the incident with Fred Hampton, just how closely and for how long and to what extent he continued to work with Agent Mitchell and the FBI and bringing down a bunch of people, getting innocent people killed, hurt, locked up. Um, there was just one story about him after having the incident with Fred Hampton, being involved in a drive-by, being a trigger man in the drive-by, just to get some other people implicated and set up. And he would just always just be, able to be exonerated um, by his proximity to the power. And it was just insane to me. Like by the time Eyes on the Prize had come out, he had done so much stuff that it must have been difficult to get through all those demons. Like, how do you sleep at night? Which is why I like the dream sequence that we put into the movie because it really seemed to mirror what I read about. I just don't imagine how some of those things you could be able to lay down comfortably. And clearly, based on how he went out, as far as we know, that was something that he struggled with. So that was interesting to dive into.
Right on. Even prior to us getting to this stage in the game, I've objectively studied Chairman Fred, as well as that and dynamics William O'Neill and others. And I say objectively, um, everything down from studying films and listening to war stories growing up, into even um, the different dynamics. It's about William O'Neill. Some people say, well, why is that? Because the deal is like I studied the good, the bad, and the ugly. Um, and not to, I think it would be a disservice to history to just minimize Chairman Fred's work to just to locally to Chicago um, or William O'Neill's to just that of a snitch. But this was seeing both of these brothers in their field, um, and not just like I said, it's not in conjunction with other phenomenal forces that involved with this project. To put in the help, even though this movie is, a lot of people say, can this tell actually who Chairman Fred was? Well, you can't put a shark in a fish tank. If you can't get that whole dynamic, but the dynamics of the federal government, you know what I'm saying? The power, again, it's a lot of, like even O'Neill, I mean, we grew up, I studied this history about William O'Neill, even his biological father, the type of individuals they were. Did some background checks as a youngster, and but this is one guy who had grew up with him. It's William O'Neill had said to me when they brought him to Cook County Jail one time, and I called, had him sit down with him, and the jail's about to go on lockdown, and he was concerned about the security. So now I said, I want to do some investigation on this. But he had even said, when he grew up with William O'Neill, but when he had seen O'Neill, it really impacted him about how deep Chairman Fred was and the Black Panther Party was, because he didn't recognize O'Neill. They had given him plastic surgery. And I recall even when we went to the William O'Neill's funeral, me and my mother, to pay our disrespects, as we have done with so many. We went to James Gloves Davis, Hand Your Hands. We a lot of people like we have a saying, a lot of people are black when it's beneficial, play Panther when it's profitable, or connect to the Cubs when it's comfortable. We do it 24/7. All of this is not to sound sacrilegious. Revolution is like it's our life. And I recall us going to O'Neill's funeral, and I remember my mother's looking in the casket. She said, "This ain't him." She said she was considered. This is before we found out about the plastic surgery. This is these brothers, their portrayal amongst the others. It was a learning, a reaffirming dynamic. So saying I told someone the other day, he was talking to me. I can't wait this movie get out so you can at least have an eighth of insight of the dynamics we're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? The fact that the COINTELPRO, not just a regular snitch. You know what I'm saying? We take a different position into Shockey 6ix9ine or someone being a snitch. No, the government created them, putting them in there. We don't say, does the government let the drugs come in the community? No, they bring it into the community. A lot of our community, many people in our community don't believe that we are worthy of being targeted by the government. It just was released this last week and a half about the federal government acknowledging J. Edgar Hoover's direct role on Chairman Fred Hampton. I'm in the house right now with Chairman Fred. Before he was Chairman Fred, the government placed a wiretap on my grandparents' telephone in this house when he's 13, 14 years old. We will lead the government, that's Russia, 007, James Bond. No, to really reinforce the potential power base that we possess within the Black community in particular, in the colonized community in general.
Yeah, and I just want to also touch on, like, doing research for the FBI and what they were doing with just the extent that they went to infiltrate and attack and stomp out a lot of these constituencies and groups and individuals was insane. If you know some of the stuff they was on. I mean, they had technology way before you would think they had that technology that they were using. I remember hearing about this one like super crazy microphone that you could just like point at a building from like hundreds and hundreds of feet away and hear everything that's going on inside that building from a whole separate building. It was just like crazy things that they would be doing, scare tactics, calling phones, threatening people, misinformation, as is indicated by the letter that's written in the movie. All kinds of things that they was on just to try and bring down these groups that were really influential. It just gives you a sense of just how strong and powerful it means to be mobilized in the way that a lot of these groups were mobilized, And it was just a trip to me that they expended so many resources on that. And it's like, damn, if we take all them resources they used on trying to stamp it out and put that into building an infrastructure of these groups, no telling where we'd be in terms of progress. So, yeah.
Thank you, each and every one of you. That was awesome. If you'd like to see the rest of this interview, you can do so by visiting the YouTube channel of the African American Film Critic Association. I'll post the link in the description, and I'll also post a link to my review if you're interested in reading that as well. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.